COVID affected my business. We went from we shrunk 66%.
Mm.
A year after starting my business, we shrunk immediately 66%. And I'm sitting in my driveway and I'm like, I wonder if I'm going to have a business next week.
Mm.
And that was 3 months sitting in my driveway. I wonder if and I had a business 3 months later, and then it exploded.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Family Business with the Alessis, where family is everybody's business. But today, it's not going to be family. It's going to be about money. We're going to be talking trade. We're going to be talking tariffs. And we're going to be talking trouble. How do we navigate during these very uncertain economic times? And I have a good friend, ministry associate, church member, Roger Quesada, who is with us in the podcast booth today. And what we want to do is just try to help prepare you for how to think through these times and how to actually not just, as they say, kind of survive, but even can we thrive in these economic downtimes that we are concerned about. So, Roger, thanks for hanging out with us today.
Thank you, Pastor. I will tell you one thing. Let's smile through this whole thing because there's going to be some painful things to talk about. But if we smile, everybody's going to feel better about
it. We'll be happy. Okay, listen, I want you to tell everybody what you do because besides being a great friend and, ministry comrade and such, what do you do for work?
Well, I have a logistics management company. So we deal with warehousing and we deal with transportation and, anything that has to do with commerce in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's what we do, is what I've been doing for the last 25 years of my life as a career.
Yeah. And so how many employees that you actually work with? I mean, you're warehousing.
Right now we have 550. We're getting ready to transition out of one region and into another. So that's going to put us about 650, probably bring us closer to another 100 extra employees.
Wow. And it's not just Miami. It's not just state of Florida. You're where?
Well, I'm not in Florida at all.
Really?
Actually, I don't have any business in Florida. I have business in the South Central region. And I've had business in the Northeast. We have a lot of business in the Rockies and in the Southwest.
Crazy.
But no business in Florida.
Yeah.
So you're on the road. I relax.
Yeah. You're on the road at least every other week. You're visiting one of your locations. You're actually, man, it's not true. You do have business in Florida.
I do.
We have business.
I do have business, not related to logistics, but I do have business in Florida. Yeah, you're right.
Very cool. So speaking of, you're on the road quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're juggling your job, employees, responsibilities, plus home, your work commitments and your family commitments and your church commitments. You do a great job doing that. You're a real blessing to the church here.
Well, thank you. Yeah. It's, and I have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Quite frankly, doing work. I enjoy what I do, and I enjoy all the things that I do, and I do quite a few things now as I've been able to venture out into different things other than in my core business. And some I'm learning on, and some I'm enjoying, and some are just passive. The passive income type of investments that are fun to watch.
Speaking of, you're international.
Yeah,
you got stuff in Colombia.
I've got stuff in Colombia. I've got some real estate business over there, and I'm into the heavy machinery equipment over there, which is fun. It's like playing with big toys.
Yeah. Wow. No, it's all to say, you're navigating all of these different business opportunities, offices, employees, people. This is real life stuff. You're navigating all of that stuff during these times. And so recently you were able to sit with your employees, your top level leaders, and you're able to talk to them about this subject that we want to address today. So what were some of the things that you would be able to say to our audience today that'll help them be prepared for the possibility that these trades and these tariffs could cause our economy to really slow down?
Well, what prompted me to say, to have a conversation with my employees is that we are so close to it from a business perspective. We handle product all day long, and most of the product that we handle, it's either imported or parts of it are imported and assembled here in the States. So we truck it, we handle it in warehouses, we ship it, and because we're so close to it, um, I think what I thought was, if my people, the people that work with me, are watching the news, and where don't you see the news now, right? Even on your phone, the news is constantly coming at you, and there's nothing positive about the economy that is coming through. They may be feeling like, man, is it going to be my job next? Am I going to be able to put food on my table? Where is the company going with this? Is the company in trouble? And you know, I wanted to address it. I wanted to tell them where I stand as the CEO of the company, where the company stands financially, to be able to weather some of the storm if it does happen, and you know where they stand based on what they do for the company. And so, I just addressed it head on, honest. I said what I knew. I said what I didn't know, but I encouraged them.
Yeah.
Let's continue to do what we know how to do, which is do our job. We have a job today. Let's do it. Let's take care of our customers. Let's become invaluable, so that if something has to go, we are the last ones to go.
Mm.
And that's the way we're going to take care of ourselves, right? Because
Right.
I can't say I'm going to take care of everybody here in the company,
Mm.
but I'm going to take care of everybody that takes care of doing the right thing in the company
Mm-hmm.
if things go down. And then I also went back a little bit in history, and I talked to them, and I said, look, it's a different headline title, but it's exactly the same old headline.
Mm.
25 is tariffs. In 24 and 23 it was inflation through the roof. In 2020 and 21 was COVID. And I even went further back. I said in 2008 it was the housing bubble. And then before that it was the tech bubble. And there's always some headline that spells out catastrophe. End of the world. Everything is on fire. Everybody's going to lose everything they've got. Your children are going to be taken away. And it never happens.
Mm.
Sure, there's some consequences and some tough times for some people, but everybody's always on the other side of that,
Mm-hmm.
alive.
Yeah.
They always eat. They always go to work. They always find a way.
Mm-hmm.
And so, do we really want to be believing all those headlines,
Mm.
or do we want to say, okay, I'll prepare for the worst, but I'll keep living my life, and I'm not going to let the surroundings or the news cycle
Mm-hmm.
dictate what I'm going to do and how I'm going to live.
Yeah.
That's the path I've chosen. And I wanted to bring that message to my people, so that they at least have some confidence that we're not heading burying our head under the sand.
Mm-hmm.
We have our eyes wide open to what's going on. Is it affecting our business? We're not growing as fast as we were just a few years ago, because everybody's got the brakes on. We were just getting ready to close on a relatively big contract, and that got put on hold.
Mm.
So yeah, it is affecting. Is it going to destroy us as a company? No.
Yeah.
COVID didn't do it. And that was at our company's infancy.
Mm.
And I didn't know a lot of the things then that I know now. And I didn't have the financial backing then that I have now to be able to withstand some of this.
Yeah.
So I wanted people to have at least hear it from me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it went over well.
Yeah.
I can see some faces were kind of relief, like, man, thank God.
Yeah.
At least we have another shot at doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And people just want to hear that. All they hear is bad news.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's what I'm hoping helps and happens with our audience today, where they are sensing, okay, this isn't new. This isn't the end of the world. Let's not shake our hands into the heavens or even point fingers of blame, because there's always somebody you want to blame.
Yep.
Um, I think ultimately for our country, you're in transportation. We're gonna pump the brakes just a little bit here. What we've been doing over the last few years as a country with our economy has not necessarily been the best thing. And one administration talked about kicking the can down the road. That's kind of like where we have been, because nobody's been bold enough to be able to look at the problem and say, we got an issue here. And nobody's bold enough to take a hit for a little bit. But if there's going to be any kind of course correction, there has to be a step back. you got to be willing to give up something in order to get something. And, we've got major industries in our country that are doing business with nations that have terrible working conditions for human beings. But it's all about the bottom line, how they could use that labor to get a cheaper product. Meanwhile, that country does not have our country's best interests at heart. But
Right.
yet, for money's sake, they're willing to do business with that country. Now we're saying, wait, there's other people, other countries, our own country, our own uh, men and women that could do what you need for your company. Yeah, it's going to be a change for you and it's going to cost you something, but it's going to make the country safer, better, but it's going to take a minute. And I'm not sure people in our country want to do that.
Right, because it's easier to blame somebody else for what's going on with me than for me to take responsibility.
Mhm.
And in my business, we actually get hired to fix problem warehouses, and it's never fun in the beginning.
Explain that a little bit.
So what I mean is, an operation may be losing money because it's losing freight, or it's damaging freight, or it's not shipping freight on time, and various reasons, right? And it is causing some either customer quality service deficiencies or just costing a lot of money to run. So we get hired to fix it. And when we come in, we evaluate the whole thing, and then we start ripping out band-aids.
Mm,
We don't take a soft approach to fix the problem because we're being paid to fix it and fix it fast. And so, usually the people that have caused the problem are the first ones to complain about the way we are doing. we're fixing the problem,
yeah, yeah,
and they don't last very long,
yeah,
right? But it's easier to blame us than to admit we caused this problem,
yeah.
or we participated in perpetuating the results.
So
of
the
this
ones
problem.
that cause it are the first ones to complain about it.
Right.
Wow.
And so I can understand how, what the approach is from the administration in doing this, and it may cause some pain for a while. But ultimately, if we want to have a more prosperous nation, right? We know how to use our money and use it well here in the United States if we're given the opportunity to do so. And if we're more prosperous here at all levels, then we're a stronger nation. We can do a lot more for other nations. And so we as a nation, we decided that it was better and cheaper to farm out our jobs. And look, politically speaking, we can have our own opinions.
Mm-hmm.
I think what's happening, there's a lot of corrections that need to happen.
Yeah.
And we're going to feel some of the pain of it. And we've got to take responsibility for what we can do.
Yes.
And what our responsibility is with our own households, with our own handling of our own financial responsibility, our budgets, our income, our spending within our means. All those things play into how this whole thing affects us.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't, much as I would have the power to make Donald Trump or any president do what I want him to do, I don't have that power.
Yeah.
I can only do what I can do
Right.
to protect myself, my family, and those who I'm responsible for,
Mhm.
who are around me. And that's what I'm striving to do. I can't fix any of that stuff.
Yeah.
I can agree with some of it. Maybe I disagree with some of it too.
Mhm.
But I can only do one thing: is vote.
Yeah.
That's the only power I have to be able to affect nationally what's going on. But I can affect
Yeah.
the household of Quesada
Yeah.
every single day.
Yeah. So what then would you say, how are you processing um, to see the possibility of a slowdown because of price hikes with products and so forth? So what are you saying to the average person that's sitting out there today, how to navigate through this?
It's simple. Just take stock of where you are financially. If you are making $50,000 and you're spending $60,000, And listen, the economy has no problem beating you up. You're already doing that on your own.
Mm.
So start living within your means, right? If you make $50,000, maybe spend $45,000 in all your life and put five away, and make sure that you're building a little cushion for ups and downs. Because listen, whether it's this economy and this tariff thing or another thing, something will surely come. And the news media, because that's how they sell and they make their money, is going to create a big propaganda machine for getting viewers. And you got to remember, viewership is how they make their money.
Mm-hmm.
And if they turn your attention, whether it's with good news or bad news, and usually good news doesn't get people's attention.
Yeah.
It's bad news and the sensationalism
Mm-hmm.
that gets people to talk and then argue and then break up. It just causes tremendous amount of stress. So focus first on you, your household, your family. Plan. If you're not making enough money, then maybe it's time to upskill, get another skill, maybe look for another job, change your careers, do something for yourself. And I'll tell you right now, in a meeting with my sales team, I said to them, right now is the best time to go out and sell. Because everybody's looking for, I need to change something. I need to change something. Don't hold back and don't assume that the marketplace is not ready. Go out and knock on as many doors and talk to as many people as possible. We were just talking to a company yesterday up in the Midwest. And the person said, we know we need to make improvements, but I don't know if this is the right time.
Mm.
And our salesperson said, this is the perfect time. This is the time where you can make the adjustments that you need in order to go through this and come out better on the other end. That was a great line because it's the truth.
Yeah.
So right now is a great time for opportunities. Right now is a great time to explore. Am I doing the best? Take care of what you can control, which is you and your household.
Yeah.
Be responsible for what you can be responsible for. Live within your means, and put away for when things go bad. You don't have to lose your mind.
Yeah. I'm glad you say slow down, because
Mhm.
a lot of people don't take that advice. They just want more and more. They think more is going to fix their problem.
Right.
When more doesn't seem to be readily available, they get all nervous. When the reality is, when we talk about getting in a budget, it's your habits. It's your spending habits. We see it all the time. People joking about, now your best friend is the Amazon driver.
It's true.
Somebody is spending money for Amazon to be on the road, do everything that Amazon's doing with all those deliveries.
Yep.
All right. So it's, we don't have so much an income problem in our day as much as we have an outgo problem. People just don't want to change their spending habits. They want to put it on somebody else to make it easier for them to have more. Well, what you're saying is, ultimately, if they just get a hold of their spending, because that's the thing they can control, Roger. When you're talking about not being able to control what happens in Washington or China or Canada or Mexico, you can control what you buy on your keyboard. You can't control your spending.
Right.
So if you control your spending, you start to now get control of your finances. And then you're able to say, wait, and to me, controlling spending is like hitting a pause button. Hit it for 6 months. You'll be able to go out and buy at Christmas. All right.
Right.
You get a rush from buying, save it up for Christmas. Go share that joy of spending it and spreading the love with others. But 6 months, it's not forever. 6 months. Hit the pause button, hang in there, get through a few months to where now you're putting some money aside, and you'll find yourself then, all right, you're going to come through this, but you're going to have something even left over when you come through it. And it's not going to be just an extra pair of shoes or so. And now you're actually going to have some resources that are set aside for you for the rainy day that still can come. So slowing down is a good thing. What else can they do?
I'm going to tell you in regards to slowing down and spending, right? We don't know what we spend today because it's all digital. We don't touch it. It's just a click on the board.
Yeah.
Right. Whether it's the way we get paid, nobody gets a check anymore. It's all direct deposit. right? It's all digits
Yep.
in and out. It's simple. You just press a submit button or checkout button or whatever. There's no pain associated with gaining
Yep.
money or spending. But if you go back to the old ways, and you probably did this because I know I did this, I'd take my check, cash it out, and have the envelope system and throw monies inside of the envelopes for the different things in the budget line. And when I saw that some of those envelopes were getting a little thicker, I didn't want to touch that envelope.
Yeah.
It feels good to see something get big and
Mhm.
grow. So seeing the envelope grow was more important than spending the money on whatever the thing was so if you had $100 put away for recreation and you didn't go out this week, next week you have 200. I'm
Mhm.
like, I wonder if I don't go out this week, how much I'll have next week.
Yeah.
And you're like, if I don't go out for a month, I have $400.
Yeah.
And then you start building this habit of seeing wealth grow simply because you put $100 in an
Yeah.
envelope.
Yeah.
But if we do it just from the phone and we never see it, we never
Yeah.
touch it,
Or we
It's-
swipe it, man.
yeah,
You're
or
right.
we swipe it,
Ugh.
it goes away so easily. So maybe changing a little habit of cashing the check or taking some money out of the bank account, throwing it in an envelope,
Mhm.
just leaving it there. Don't touch
Yeah.
it.
Yep.
And see how good that feels when you see how you're able to accomplish saving some money aside.
Yeah. And if you do want coffee, use your little cash.
Exactly.
Don't put it on your credit card.
Right. Because
Yeah.
if you go to the place and you got $5, you're going to get a coffee.
Yeah.
But if you don't and you have the app, you're going to get $25 worth of stuff that
You're
you
right.
probably didn't even need.
Yeah. So true.
Mhm.
Again, you're controlling this situation rather than this situation controlling you. I know from a spiritual perspective, because a lot of what we do comes from faith, our spiritual aspect. What's the spiritual eye seeing? And you said about this happening in the past. This has been happening for centuries.
Right.
And so we know of a good Bible character who was used in Egypt to prepare, get ready for what would have been a drought, which was going to last for a long period of time. Egypt did better under his leadership, working with the Pharaoh, because he had a mind, wise thoughts, actions. He had a game plan. Ultimately, what I'm trying to say is what could be hurting some people. Having an eye of faith says, wait, this could actually be a good opportunity for me.
Right.
This doesn't have to be a bad opportunity. I could come out better. I can come out ahead. When the stock market went low a few weeks ago, a lot of people that don't understand the market they got scared and they were selling. When those that understand the market were saying this is a great opportunity to buy.
Right.
So instead of losing money when they sold, they were actually able to make money. So I think through the eyes of faith, we could actually see this as an opportunity to better ourselves. For one, if you're going to get on a budget, you're better already.
Right.
Two, opportunities going to come knocking, and it could be through this particular door for you that you don't necessarily think is good. But faith says, I can still prosper. And which then, and this is the part where I think a lot of people miss it, in your holding back, you got to be careful that you don't miss out on making sure you're also sowing something going forward. I believe in sowing a principle, the seed time and harvest principle. Seed goes into the ground. Our seed is our money. That seed goes into the ground. It will give you a harvest. More money's coming back. You can't leave out this aspect of giving, sowing, and reaping during hard
No,
times.
if you, I mean, the biggest stories in the Bible about financial miracles that we read them and we're like, wow, what faith, right? We're in awe. The widow who gave everything she had, the mites,
Mm-hmm.
and the widow who had the baby, and she said, all I have is enough flour to eat
Yeah.
a little cake and die. And the priest said, all right, you can do that, but make me one first.
Yeah.
So that means give me everything you've got. And then we read and we see that, how many jars of oil and how
Mm-hmm.
much stuff did she have? She said she paid off all her debts and then had enough to live for the rest of her life.
Yeah.
That's a huge, we turned that into dollars. She got a retirement plan
Yeah.
fully funded
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah.
Right. But yet, when it comes to the practical, we say, oh, wow, I got to hold back because now it's not a good time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it wasn't a good time for the lady who was going to die.
Yeah.
That was the worst time.
Yes,
it was
sir.
her and her baby.
Mm-hmm.
She got no income, and that's all she had, and she was going to die. So either we believe that can happen to us, or we don't.
Yeah.
And it can happen to us.
Yeah.
If we accept and we accept that the Bible is true,
Mm-hmm.
and that the same God that did that for those ladies and those people in the Bible, that we are in awe, and we read him like, man, God is so good. Well,
Yeah.
he's still the same God today.
Yeah.
And we are as much his children as those people were.
Mm-hmm.
And he can do the same thing.
Yeah.
For us today.
Mm-hmm.
We just got to accept it and believe it and really build up enough fortitude of character to say, I'm going to do this regardless of. I'm in a great position now, and I thank God. God has been so good to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember having just enough money to either pay the tithe or pay the rent. This Roger is not the only version of Roger that's existed.
Yeah, yeah.
The broke Roger, right, which probably was more of my life than now,
yeah,
had to make those decisions too. And I remember paying the tithe and calling the landlord and said, I can't pay you. I need to move by the end of the month. And the landlord saying, you're staying as long as you need to. And when you start working, and by the way, I had no job. All I had was a tithe, no job, and the rent was due. You stay, and when you're ready to pay me back, you call me and we'll set up a payment plan.
Come on.
That guy didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
He wanted me there more than I wanted to pay him.
Mm.
Now, can I make those things happen? Can I buy that kind of favor?
No.
And it doesn't mean that God gave me the money. He just gave me the favor to endure for that season.
Yeah.
So it isn't always about, I'm going to give, I'm going to barter with God or do some trading. I'm going to give him 20 so he can give me 2,000. No.
Yeah.
God will take care of you. That's what he promises.
Yeah.
He doesn't say he's going to give you money.
Yeah.
He's going to take care of you. And I've been a recipient of it more times than I can remember. And I always try to remember that, even though now I'm not in that situation where I need God. Well, yeah, I am. I always need God in a financial way because now my bets are bigger and I need him to come through in a bigger way. Yeah. And he still does the same thing. Favor comes to me. Puts me in situations where I'm not qualified to be in. Same thing.
Yeah. Well, two things come to my mind here. Number one, we can't have more trust in a government leader than we do God. We can't trust the politicians. We can't trust the company. We can't trust those voices more than we trust the voice of God. Second thing, David says something in the Bible. He says, I've never seen the righteous forsaken or their seed begging for bread.
That is so true.
Roger, in all the years of doing what I've been doing, over 40 years in ministry, I've seen beggars, but they were beggars that were always in the beggar position, the beggar posture, which is give me some money to help me out of my situation. But I've never seen a beggar that's been in the posture of being a giver. Never. A person who tithes, gives of offerings, in all my years, when they go through a hard time, temptation is to pull back and say, I need help. But the faith is saying, no, I may need help, but I'm going to stay committed to giving my tithes and my offerings. Like you did. What do? Do I pay the landlord or do I pay the Lord of the land? Mm-hmm. You paid the Lord of the land. You paid your tithes to the Lord, and the Lord blessed you. And it was painful, But it's the old saying, it just felt so good because look where you're at today. And you had to do that. That spiritual muscle of faith needed to be strengthened during that time. People don't get that. They miss out. They look at their money as their provider because money gives them something. They look at their boss as the one that's going to give them the money. Then they look at their boss, but then they look at the government, whoever's in the White House, who's causing the boss to have to make decisions and so on and so forth. So ultimately, they stay in a cycle of defeat. If you look at your money, you look at your boss, you look at the government, you're never getting ahead. But if you look at God, now all of a sudden, he trumps,
Yeah.
all of those. He trumps your money, your boss, and the government. Because now he's on the hook for having to provide for you if you're giving of your finances to him, being faithful with that 10% your tithe and giving your offerings. He's on the hook now because you've put him to the test. If we're going to talk about making it through difficult financial times, you can't eliminate the aspect of faith that says, I trust God, so I'm going to give to God of my finances.
Right. Well, and faith is the antidote to fear.
Good.
And what's going on now? People are reacting in fear.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to lose my job, or I'm going to get laid off, or I'm going to have to pay $10 a dozen of eggs.
Yeah.
And that's fear. It's
Yeah.
all fear driven. Well, faith says, if I have to pay $10 for a dozen of eggs, God is going to give me $10.
Mm-hmm.
Or somebody's going to give me some free eggs.
Yeah.
But I'm going to get my eggs because the God that created the chicken that lays the eggs is my God. And he's
Mhm.
going to provide for me.
Yeah.
So exercising faith is driving away fear. It's
Yeah.
that simple.
Yeah.
And so you either believe God or you believe fear, which is what is being propagated out there.
Fear does talk.
Yeah.
Fear speaks.
And so I choose to believe God despite of what happens.
Mhm.
COVID affected my business. We went from we shrunk 66%.
Mm.
A year after starting my business, we shrunk immediately 66%. And I'm sitting in my driveway and I'm like, I wonder if I'm going to have a business next week.
Mm.
And that was 3 months sitting in my driveway. I wonder if I had a business 3 months later, and then it exploded. And I'm like, my God, I can't keep up.
Yeah.
Now, could I have anticipated the downturn with COVID? No. Could I have anticipated the upturn after COVID? No. All I could do was reduce my cost, reduce my spending, take care of the people that were still working while I couldn't because I couldn't travel, make sure that they had what they needed to do. And every day just sit out there and wait and call. And I was making calls and I was making calls, doing the work of looking at the future while I was in the present. And when that future came, man, it came with a vengeance. It came knocking and hard. And I answered the call.
Yep.
Because I didn't sit back in fear. I was just wondering. I
Yeah.
wonder if, but I was doing my work every single day.
Yep. I wish people knew where you came from, Roger. Because I remember the huge excuse you would give. And I say this out of respect for where you have come. Okay. This is not meant to in a negative, but I remember the excuse of why you didn't have a new car. And it was because your dad always had an old one. You and your words were back in the day, I don't need something new. Now you drive up to your house, you got like 3 new beautiful vehicles. And not that we're boasting about cars being the sign of a man successful. It's just, it shows what you have been able to do and how far you have elevated your life to where now you're helping us raise up leaders in our church at our business forum, teaching them how to manage and build a business. So much good has come through the hard times of your life, and you handled them shoulders back, head high, fought like heck, stayed in faith, and now you're just a tremendous legacy leader within our church and helping others. So mindset shifted before the money ever came on the scene. Mindset shifted before the opportunities ever came on the scene. And I think today we can say to our audience, just watch the way you're processing, your mindset. You're going to make it. You're going to come through this. Don't be negative. Stay positive. Keep your eyes on God, not on the government, not on your boss, not on your money. And you'll find your way getting through this. Makes sense, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate that, buddy.
Thank you.
You're a good man.
Thank you, Pastor.
Thanks for joining us today. Well, hopefully you were inspired on how to navigate through, trouble, through tariffs, through trade. Yeah, it's out there. We're in for maybe a rocky road, but ultimately we're going to be able to come out on the other end of it with our hands held high, and victory will be better because of it. So that's what you heard today on The Family Business with the Alessis and with Mr. Quesada, who's been a great guest. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you like it, make sure you subscribe, and then pass this on. Send it to someone else who may need to be inspired as well. Thanks for joining us today.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel, like this video, and click on the notifications bell so you can be notified for all of our future videos. And if you loved today's topic, we have plenty more. And you can click on this link right here to watch all of our videos so you can learn why family is everybody's business.